Ladies and gentlemen, a couple crazy things have just come out. Take a look at this. It really looks as if we are going to be getting clickbaited here, as the title of this article says, ex-SEC director says Ripple lawsuit will end within days. So what exactly could that be? We're going to cover in this video, but also apparently some other cool things for XRP. It says the XRP trading pair listed on Australian exchange. Let's cover that. Let's see exactly what's going on. Apparently, there's also something more with Coinbase and with Shiba Inu. Also, Bitcoin. US banks seek $100 billion from Fed's emergency lending platform amid crisis, fueling speculation on Bitcoin's price surge to 100K. And like we stated in our previous video earlier today, which by the way, I recommend you guys all to check out, I really recommend you to make sure you tune into the video every single time. See the start of the video, see if there's something which you think is interesting, and then maybe even click away, you choose. But do always see if something crazy happens, as I try to talk at the start of the video about what the whole video is going to be about. Anyway, make sure make sure you press that like button on this video. Let's try to get to 700 likes on it. If we can, that would be awesome. If we've already got more than 700 likes, let's freaking go. Anyway, right now, as I've been saying, the most interesting article I think is this one right here. Ex-SEC director says the Ripple lawsuit will end in a couple of days. Former SEC regional director Mark Fagel has speculated that the multi-year legal battle between the commission and Ripple Labs will soon come to an end. Fagel took to Twitter to disclose that the U.S. District Judge Analisha Torres, the presiding judge of the lawsuit, will issue a summary judgment decision within days. However, it bears mentioning that Fogel made the remark in response to a Twitter thread by Mr. Huber, somebody in the community. If you don't know, now you know at least. Mr. Huber commented on the delay regarding the final verdict of the SEC v. Ripple, and he noted that further delay in Judge Torres' summary judgment could strengthen the argument that public reactions influenced her ruling. The XRP community member added that further delay in the ruling could also cause more confusion, which the parties may use as an argument. Quote, to clarify once again, every day that passes, a day passes, between the disclosure of the Hinman emails and the classification of them by a court is a +1 for everyone's fair notice defense, right? Because if it was so easy, why wasn't it just quickly stated, Why did it take even longer? Because right now, all these days, basically, that the Ripple lawsuit decided as well, people were still confused. Because that was only the moment at which some regulations, I guess, became clear, even though that's still up for debate. Mr. Huber called on several attorneys, including John Deaton, Jeremy, and a couple of others, like Fagel, to share their opinions. Reacting to the thread, Fagel emphasized his penchant for avoiding speculations, but stressed that he expects the presiding judge to issue her summary judgment decision within days. He says, I try to avoid speculating, but my guess is a ruling is coming within days, said Fagel. So to quickly take a little bit of a look, TikTok said first, hey, do you think the SEC dropping all of these lawsuits before? I've got my leg here because, hey, look at those. Yeah. Because I'm making it comfortable. Whenever we're talking about the SEC, I got to chill down a little bit. Never mind. I felt more professional vibes right now. Because, when we're talking about the SEC, if they ever look back at these videos, I want them to remember how they were grilled. No, never mind. You know that? If I say it like this, if the SEC ever watches, they notice. They just got grilled by somebody that might not even be wearing underpants. They don't know. Do you think that the SEC dropping all these lawsuits before the judgment summary might appear to be undermining our judge? And he responded by saying, well, the longer it takes, the weirder it gets. Anyway, Mark Fagel responded as Huber asked for some lawyers to give their take. He said, I try to avoid speculating like we earlier stated. But my guess is ruling is coming, very, very shortly. And even if I'm wrong, there's no basis to think the delay is due to anything beyond the complexity of the case. So not because she's being ordered, not because of anything except for just the fact that it's quite difficult to make a decision. Because whatever she decides, a couple 100,000 people are watching. I don't understand the greater confusion point. Ripple is substantially different than all these other cryptos potentially. But in my own opinion, I kind of have to stray away from Mark here a little bit by stating, well, even though everything is different, the greater confusion can be seen for the crypto market in the sense that right now, nobody still really knows the situation. And so for other cases, even though they are vastly different, it is going to be setting a precedent. And so up to that point, they couldn't have known. And the same thing applies to the fact that XRP got delisted of a lot of platforms. Robinhood is delisting, ADA and Matic, ADA and Sol. I don't remember all three of them. Doesn't matter anyway. So can we now say that as of that point, then Oh, we should have known? Or where exactly is the point where we should have known? The moment the SEC filed a complaint, because even the SEC says, no, that's not it. The moment we file a complaint and we make an allegation, that's just it. It's an allegation. It's for the courts to decide what is reality. It's only now that people might actually try to sue Coinbase or another company for saying, hey, you sold me an unregistered security. But as of that point, like we all say, it's really not clear. But if you then go extrapolate by saying, well, if as of that point it's not clear, but only after the ruling made by the judge, does that not work with, backwards basically? Because if you think about it then, if the judge was able to make the decision with all the information that's out there, then people should have been able to make that decision too, right? Earlier even. So then comes the question of, well, how exactly does that work with these exchanges that facilitated the trade? But right now, things have changed because Coinbase did take XRP off when the allegation came, but they're not taking off all these different other cryptos, and they're said they're not going to be doing that. And now another question arises, which is how everything would change as Ethereum potentially could be put into a different category. What I'm referring to here is that JP Morgan says, some JP Morgan strategists are saying that potentially, because of the Hinman documents that just came out, Ethereum might not actually fit anywhere. It might not fit with Bitcoin in the commodity sector, but it might also not be a security of what we've seen Bill Hinman say and state and discuss. So where exactly does it lie? Can they not just make a new category, some completely new regulations for all this? And it's really funny that JP Morgan guys are talking about this. Anyway, like I've been stating, U.S. banks seek $100 billion from Fed's emergency lending platform amid crisis, fueling speculation on Bitcoin's price surge to $100,000. The U.S. banks have borrowed a significant $100 billion from the Federal Reserve's Bank Term Fund program as they face a crisis of confidence and liquidity. The continuous rise in borrowing from the BTFP signifies that U.S. banks are still in dire need of extra funding to meet depositor obligations amidst tight monetary policies imposed by the Fed. Now, I just want you guys to realize for a second that with everything happening in the U.S., with the Fed rate hikes, which have stopped as of this point, but they're not really coming down anytime soon, you guys are understanding just how crazy the banking system is going right now in the U.S., how crazy mortgages are getting, how crazy just everything in terms of finance is getting over there. Even if you do not realize it and the inflation numbers are going down, you have to understand this one critical concept. Even if inflation looks to be going down, that basically means, okay, a piece of bread was, let's say, $2 before. Now it's $3. That's inflation. Oh, but the inflation is going down. That does not mean your items get cheaper again. No. It just means the items go up in price now less. And so when we're talking about, but we would just want to get back to good times of like 3 years ago, whatever, 4 years ago, you can't unless wages go up that much, but they won't. And so your purchasing power right now, specifically in the US, but in a lot of countries really, it's just getting worse and worse and worse because still the increase on these prices is still worse, or I'd say higher than the increase in wages overall. And even that, if the increase in wages goes up, or I guess, so that means like incrementally, the increase is higher than the actual increase in the basically CPI, let's just call it. It still matters a little bit because those wage numbers are a little bit too broad, where again, somebody who's going from 500,000 to 750,000, for a lot of these higher up positions won't notice the bread price increasing from $2 to $2.50, where somebody that's earning $25,000 a year definitely notices that difference. Point being, the banking system is way more screwed up than you think, and that reflects itself onto the consumer. And I'd say that a lot of people are just not noticing how bad it really is. But if you think about it from the inflation perspective, that a lower inflation does not mean things are getting better. It just means they're getting slightly less bad, slightly less worse. And the fact that everything in terms of debt in the US is just spiraling out of control, people are not paying enough attention to the fact that this is just absolutely absurd. And if you told any economist this a couple years ago, they would have laughed in your face because of how crazy it is. So to that extent, I'm again saying cryptocurrencies are so much more bullish right now than any other time before. And many will try to tell you it's not, but it really is. And here's actually just one tiny little announcement. Tiny things matter. Apparently, an XRP trading pair just got listed on an Australian crypto exchange. Apparently, XRP's footprint in Australia subsequently is expanding. Apparently, XRP as a trading pair is just coming onto this Australian exchange. I didn't know. I missed it completely. I'm not sure if they took it off first and now are putting it back on, or if this is the first time that it's actually coming on there. But this market has been there for a very long time. So I think it's peculiar that XRP actually has never been on there before because, well, why wouldn't it have been? So that is actually a little bit of an interesting one. Potentially, they're also smelling that Ripple is on the verge of victory and they want to be there early. Potentially that's so. I will also tell you once more that even though I and a lot of others are extremely bullish on crypto, that does not mean I think every coin is going to survive. I want you guys to understand, so many coins that there are fundamentally quite useless. I don't think XRP is one of them. I don't think HBAR is one of them. I don't think Eagle is one of them. I don't think IOTA is one of them. I don't think there's so many QNT, XDC, or even Algorand. And a lot of the other coins that the SEC mentioned are any ones of them. And I'm bullish on them, and I'm buying more, and that's about it. Make sure you put the notification bell on if you enjoyed the video. Probably got another cool one coming up tomorrow, so tune in for that. And I'm also going to be going to a very interesting place today or tomorrow, depending on when you're watching this. So stay tuned to my Instagram, I guess, if you're following me on there. That's pretty cool. And make sure you also, just put the notification bell on. That's the most important part. See you guys later.